Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the second class of the One Pot Wonder, and we have been sponsored by the Lethbridge Foundation, and our partners are the existing food bank and the new food center, as well as the co-op. And we are taking these classes. They are being offered through the Vertical Church, where we are doing the cooking. So today, for those that have joined us in the registration for receiving boxes, you should have received a recipe for stuffed pepper soup today. And along with all of the food in there, we've added some extras that the food bank has graciously offered to us. So we've put a few extra things in there in case you're wondering what that's all about. So today, before we get started, we've kind of done a little bit of pre-prep, but I'd like to just kind of make sure that everybody's got what they need in their box. So we have some rice and some buns, some onions, some peppers, some tomato sauce, and I just happen to have a little bit of extra of the, I guess the stewed tomatoes. We needed Italian spices and some olive oil, and then just some cheese to be able to sprinkle on top. So to get started, we need to get the meat into the frying pan, and we just add some oil. I've kind of pre-started that as well, just so that we can we're not doing a cooking of an hour show. So I've pre-done some preparation with the meat, which will go over to the stove. And so we initially just add some oil, a little bit of olive oil, and some cut up onions, just into some chopped onions. And depending on the size of your family, you're going to want to kind of portion it. I've tried with the recipes that you have to give you the portion size, which should allow you at least a couple of meals, unless you're a very big eater. So we'll throw the onions, and then we have some minced garlic. Before we do go over to the stove, I just want to tell you about this garlic. There's pieces of garlic inside, so if you take and you just kind of squish it onto your counter, it kind of opens it up so that you can just peel off the pieces. And then if the outside of the garlic has a shell on it, so you want to be able to roll it. You can roll it on your counter and it'll just split open so that you can just peel it off. And then inside you'll have your garlic. And I suggest just to cut off your ends, and then you can just mince it really small, which is what we have here. I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but about this size. You don't want to go too much bigger unless you really, really like garlic, because garlic this way is very strong. So anyway, we're going to add this little bit of garlic to the hamburger. So we're going to go over to the stove and we'll get that part started, and I'll bring some onions as well. Mm-hmm. So when you're doing your hamburger, just ensure that before you put it into your recipe itself, into your soup, to please drain the oil. As you see, there's some oil and just some little bit of liquid in here. So you want to take that off, because otherwise your soup is going to be fatty, and then you'll have this almost like a bacon fat on the top. So it just makes the soup a little nicer. So we'll give this a couple minutes to just cook, and then we will proceed to actually, we could probably just start putting in the broth. Now the broth we didn't do as liquid, because you should have this in your box, and so we've just decided to use this as it will keep longer. And then per cube, you're going to need at least 2 cups of water, and you want to use like hot water, obviously, because then these will dissolve into your broth. And I like using these because they keep. You can throw them in your fridge or your cupboard, they'll keep. So we're going to add some water, and then we'll get our broth going. I better put this on here. So I'm going to put 2 cubes in. You can kind of adjust it to your own flavoring. If you like a little bit stronger beef flavor, then that's just fine too. I'm kind of not a recipe follower. I just kind of try to, I go by taste. And if I need a little more salt or I need a little bit more broth, or I just adjust it accordingly. And also too, if there's other things in this recipe that that you don't have or that you'd like to add to, like extra vegetables or some beans, feel free to do so because it's quite yummy that way as well. So as you can see, the bouillon cubes have started to dissolve, and so this should be about the color that you're looking for and the consistency as well. It kind of gives it a kind of a, I don't even know, liquid. So if you look, I've already drained the hamburger and it's ready to go. So we're gonna put it into the pot. And then we're going to add your tomato sauce and your peppers. And we'll put in the can of tomatoes, the sauce. And this soup is not it's not a liquidy soup. Keep in mind that it's called stuffed pepper soup. So it's not a chili texture or consistency. It's just that it's a little thicker soup. So we're gonna let this cook. And we're going to, I should add we're gonna add some rice. And the rice again, you want to not add a huge amount of rice because of course it will absorb a lot of your liquid, but if it does, you can just add a little bit of extra water and add maybe a little bit more of your bouillon cube, or if you have some extra tomato sauce, you could add it. As long as there's a little extra liquid in there once your rice is cooked, then it should be fine. And as far as spices go, this recipe calls for an Italian seasoning spice. But if you like it a little bit hotter, you could use like a Cajun spice, or you could use cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper I don't think has a lot of flavor, but it definitely gives you some heat. You know, kind of your own taste buds of what you like. And so if you put a couple of teaspoons of the seasoning, the Italian seasoning in, or with your choice, and start with that and see the flavoring of kind of what you like. So yeah, so we're gonna let this cook for a little bit, and should maybe in about 20 minutes it should be ready to go. And bon appetit. So this has been cooking now for about 20 minutes, and the consistency is kind of, it's kind of a cross between a soup and a sauce for spaghetti. So just a note, I've added a little bit more just through taste testing. I have added a little bit more Italian seasoning, but I also added just a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar. And the sugar takes the tartness out of your tomato, like I don't like that tarty, tinny taste that you get from your cans from the tomatoes. So if you just add just a touch of sugar, not too much, just enough to not make it sweet, but just to take that tartness out. And yeah, it just kind of makes a total difference for your soup. With that being said, our soup is finished. I hope that you enjoy yours. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope that you guys have a great week. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.